will disappear into pit road, and on his own on the front row then, this bizarre situation of Kevin Estra leading the 52nd edition of the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring away first. He's a BMW though in second place and might lead the race. The 99 car has been started superbly well. Can it break later than the Grello? Not quite. And remember, it's a lot of give and take into this first corner because it's the Yokohama S. You have to swing right, and you have to swing left. The Porsches in the midfield, including the two Falcon cars, running the risk of some early contact. I thought they all avoided it as it's neck and neck for third position. And slotting ahead is the first of those Rover Racing BMWs. That looks to me to be a Mercedes though, up to second. That's the car, yeah, Frankie Bird, who started the car. That may remember Maro Engel was in Lorma earlier on. Two BMWs pitted, in fact, before the start of the race. The other Rover car also came in at the end of the rolling lap into Snowdon.
Quite extraordinary. Great run by Bird. Bird takes the lead. He's taken ahead of Kevin Estra all the way through.
It's Engel. It's Maro Engel. The Engel zero car that started, and Engel is no stopping the German driver from Munich. He's gone ahead of Kevin Estra and into the lead of the race. Again, what tyres was Engel on? Did we spot that? Might well be the cut slick rather than the full wet tyre. Mercedes side by side. And that is Frankie Bird, I think, getting involved with Hubert Haupt, who's not that far behind either. So the Mercedes already coming to the fore. We said they might have something up their sleeve this weekend. I've had to wait for a long time since tasting victory at this event since 2016. But I'm already starting to work out who's going to win this race after the first few corners of 24 hours.
7 cars, Johnny, pulled into the pit lane. First one, of course, was pole position driver Dan Harper, who was followed in by the Whitman Rover Racing BMW. Lucas Stoltz, the Mercedes AMG Team HRT, followed him in also. Dynamics Porsche came in. Moschwitz in the Schlitzland Racing Mercedes. The Glickenhaus came in the Hankook Competition Porsche, also in. Stays in fact, as the rest of the field continue on their way. They're now out onto the Nordschleife, and here we have a Mercedes leading the field round. As we suspected, they might have been holding their cards and keeping their powder dry literally all week. An incredible Maro Engel off on and into the lead, and already a 2.2 second gap produced.
Tremendous effort, yeah, and that's mainly down to tyres. And now the BMW driven by Augusto Farfus, who's going to feature in both the 99 and the 98 Rover Racing BMWs, but the Brazilian has been installed into car 99 for the opening stint, and he's just done the best third sector of those cars ahead. Although, one to look out for is David Pittard in the 34 Wagenhorst Aston Martin running 7th, and he's actually the quickest through that third sector as the second start group now gets underway, and this is for Cup 2 Porsches, so Carrera Cup machines essentially, all one make at the sharp end, but then look further back and you've got the VW Golf of Max Cruiser Racing. The KTM Crossbow will be involved in this as well. I can't see that in the first group of cars. 55 definitely should be involved in the second of the starting groups. Almost as what a sideways moment there from 165, struggling to hang on to the Schmickler Performance powered by Ravenol SP10 car. As now it's side by side, and the Click for Cypheron car slightly better on the higher line. Once more, a tyre choice to be made here, and some drivers will be thinking, yeah, we're absolutely on the right tyre, and then the next few corners round, they will differ that opinion straight away. 4 though, making the break from Cup 2, and it's been a good start, not necessarily from the pole position car. 148, I think, has lost some early ground.
Typical Cup racing, or Porsche Cup racing there. Almost 3 wide going into the Goodyear hairpin for the first time. They've sorted themselves out by the time they get to the Vidal chicane. Just about to turn left and head towards the beam curve and onto the Nordschleife. But this, I think, is what can be one of the finest races within the race. We'll keep you updated with the goings-on that is already being developed in the Cup 2 field. And as we suspected, nose-to-tail racing from these Porsche Cup runners.
Lots of cars in that section, that group section came in, second starting group came in.
I've realised where the pole car is from Cup 2, and he's not on the racetrack because he came into the pit lane as well. Maurice Schuring realising that wasn't the right tyre to be on. So I didn't think 148 was in that leading quartet. It's not, and instead the one race lead and wants to try and clear as much traffic as possible. possible the next time through on Hatzenbach and Honkeichen, so that Kevin Estre cannot stay in touch with the BMW, but it's going to take more than that to shake the rapid Frenchman.
Exactly as I said was going to happen. That's exactly what I was trying to describe so eloquently and filled the pictures delivered, didn't it, on the live stream? If you were watching that was pure driving finesse there from Farfus, who was looking at that car in front of him, but he was also looking at the back marker, and by positioning his car, he saw Estre going to the left of the back marker. He positioned his car to maximise that exit speed, and Estre tripped over the back marker. However, the race is not over, is it? Estre's going to come back at him, isn't he?
Well, he didn't even trip over it. The back marker, which is the 633 Porsche, sat in the middle of the track on the exit, just off the apex of the corner, in exactly the right position. Estre had a choice, left or right. He chose left, and the 633 stayed exactly where it was, but that was the high side. As you said, Farfus had reread it and went, thank you very much, I'll just go up the inside. Read that before he even got there. So, great drive, absolutely thinking great driving there by Augustus Farfus in a car that's been completely rebuilt.
David Pittard's back in the pit lane. How long did that take him, though, to reach the sanctuary of pit road to get this assessed now? Suspension damage potentially, or is it all contained within the damaged rear left wheel and the tyre that has gone down? Porsches were side by side a minute or two ago. Nico Metzel alongside the Patrick Cole-driven Lion Speed car, and through nipped a recovering 98 BMW. Now, that also pitted at the end of the first lap, or not the first lap, the start of the first lap, with Dan Harper. And Lucas Stoltz is having a good fight with one of the Aston Martins as well. Car number 4 down in 14th position, and he's got Patrick Assenheimer, the number 35 Aston Martin, now behind him, able to pick him off coming out of the Yokohama S.
It was Marco Wittmann in the 98, Johnny, again scything his way, like literally a hot knife through butter there, making his way through. Absolutely fired up. There'll be nothing worse for him than having to give away that grid position so hardly worked for yesterday evening, and then having to pit to get himself on the tyre that he's needed. And there's the lead about to change again, is it, Snowy?
He has to replay Kevin Estre doing exactly the same back to Augustus Farfus.
2 seconds is the difference. Frank Stippler is not able to hang on to the coattails, though, of the leading duo, and the Sheriff Sport Audi is 22.7 seconds further back. Nice little bit of progress being made by Daniel Kylvitz in the number 1 Ferrari in SP9. Winners last year, remember, although Kylvitz wasn't part of the lineup as the Aston Martin rejoins and very nearly suffers contact again of David Pittard, I think. So that car back into the race, and also there was a squirm right in front of Dan Harper from the FAT Porsche, which is the Herbert entry. So that's Dennis Olsen, who is in 7th, and Dan Harper 8th place in the BMW RMG M4.
Of the Italian supercars going on for 4th and 5th place. We've got Kylvitz in the Fricadelli Racing Ferrari 296. Now we've got a beautifully liveried Red Bull team at Lamborghini. They are not quite nose to tail, they're just making their way very delicately through the traffic. With 4th and 5th place is the number 1 Ferrari, last year's winners, very emotional winners here at the N24 in 2023, and the number 27, the Red Bull Lamborghini, circulating together and making their way in a very Italian-esque kind of chain of supercars.
Dennis Olsen having to breathe in past one of these Siroccos. It's really busy now, and in this, particularly this early on in the race, what tends to happen is that the starters in Group 2 and Group 3 are still very much clumped together. They've done barely a racing lap themselves, so when you start to catch the tail enders in start of Group 3, this is where you're really earning your corn, because the conditions no doubt will have changed when you last passed this section of the track 25 kilometres ago, and you actually can't see much of the road in front of you because it is a wall of those, in inverted commas, slower cars. They're not going that slow at all. Into the carousel, and Dan Harper eager to try and recover some of these places then. This is the battle for 7th place, but the problem for him is he's got Dennis Olsen just ahead in the second best of the Porsches. Remember, it's the Grello Porsche that leads, now only by 0.6 of a second though, so Estre getting back ahead of Augusto Farfus. Those two are going to have a race-long scrap, it feels like. What a shame Frank Stickler can't get involved this early on. But once more, I would say, Snowy, that Dan Harper's quicker than Dennis Olsen. But he just needs to find a way by.
Well, the car certainly seems quicker, but as you say, it's these tricky conditions, and this is where all the experience of the young man will come into play into that car, these conditions, and it's just got to wait your time. It's not easy. It's a long race though.
Yeah, and to me, the BMW seems a little bit more manoeuvrable. It's a bigger car, but it seems to be responding more to the steering application from Dan Harper as he negotiates Brunchant. Little sideways from the Frankie Bird-driven Mercedes from Bilstein, running in 6th place. And again, it looks like it's raining a little more than it was a lap ago, Joe. So you've got to continually adapt to these changing conditions.
Well, it's a voyage of discovery every time you get to because it's such a long track, so 25.3 kilometres. By the time you get back round to that corner that you were the previous lap, it can be completely different. It can be a little bit drier or less wet, or it can be a lot wetter, and that's the tricky thing. And it's kind of a voyage of discovery as you go on to the brakes at that point where you need to optimise everything. Is it an optimised run at this point, though, Snowy, in this kind of race? Are we flat out? Are we absolutely on the nosy going into the braking areas?
Well, I'll put something to you there. Dan Harper started on pole position and dived into the pits, as we suspected he might do, having gone for what appeared to be the wrong choice of slicks. He dived in, lost the entire group, and how far behind is the leader now? 44 seconds. In a 24-hour race.
He's on it, isn't he?
He's on it, isn't he?
Yeah, and you can see the body language of that car as he's coming up to overtake. He's looking, as we have seen him, he's looking at the cars ahead of him, he's looking at the slower class cars ahead of him, and by the way, in a couple of minutes we'll have a rundown of our class leaders and see who's where in the classes, which we'll do on the half hour throughout the 24 hours.
And just on that note of people coming up through the field, you've got to feel for David Pittard, who was one of the drivers of the winning team last year in that Fricadelli Ferrari. He's in the Falcon number 34 Aston this year. He started 21st and fought his way up to P7 on that first lap before that puncture. However it was induced, came about. That's how far he got up the field already. So he might do the same again.
Dan Harper got in front of Dennis Olsen on the Dottinger Board. And they've arrived at Tiergarten still with the Norwegian ahead of the Ulsterman. So despite there being a better tow, I would have said, from the BMW and able to draft alongside, once the BMW pulled out from that tow from the Porsche, couldn't maintain the speed and therefore has not been able to get ahead of the number 5 car, I should say. But now on the braking into Yokohama S, the BMW looks slightly more stable. Dennis Olsen's taking a different approach to the Yokohama S though, and can get on the loud pedal a little bit earlier than that red, amber and white car. And they're going to be neck and neck again as they head down the hill and towards the left-hander at Goodyear Spanger. But the BMW is finally now in front. He had several stabs at that, including all the way down the Dottinger Hoor. Couldn't get it done as they crossed the line, but Dan Harper now up to 7th, Snowy.
You've got past that car, get on with it now. You've got a great opportunity, as we said during warm-up and a few of the sessions of the Grand Prix circuit. You can take not more risk, but you've got more runoff, a bit of wider track. You can do it, you can get a little bit done in that time before we get onto the North Cycle. Let's see what he does on this next line of Dan Harper 72 in the BMW.
Very easy to be totally drawn in by the SP9 battle, but there are many different classes in this race, another 22 of them to be precise. And on the half hour of every race hour, we're going to give you an update. So Joe's going to do that this time around.
I'll do the first one, I'll kick things off. So the Cup 2 class, this is the race within this race. It's going to be so competitive. That's currently being led by Tom Coronel in the Max Cruise Racing Porsche. That's car 127. Another fan favourite class, the TCR barrel. That's the number 830, Hyundai Elantra. Look at the wheel of that one. The GT3 class, that's another of the Max Cruise stable. The number 50, right at the wheel of that one. SP10 is being led by the 170 number Toyo tyres with Ring Racing team. SRS team Sword Rensport car 969. They're at the front of the Cup 3 class. Sony Motorsport car 145. They're leading the SP8T class. Dora Motorsport car 55. They're leading SP11. SP3T is being led by the 776, the MSC Sinzik car. And then the SP6 class. Car 510, no team information on that one. Beyond that one, SP7 is the number 80 Holstein Racing Team. VT2 front is the number 486. V6 is the number 416. If I only see the number, that means I haven't got any team information in front of me. VT3 is the number 599 Kevin Sports and Racing entry. The V5 category is the number 446. The V4 category is the number 711. SP4T being led by the Subaru Technical International. That's the WRX four-wheel drive Subaru Car 88. And then SP3 Car 275. AT2 Car 320 is the four wheels entry, and then SP4 is Car 152. Got 23 classes here overall.
I did say that Dan Harper once has just passed Dennis Olsen in the Herbert number 5 Porsche at the end of that lap, starting this lap as it were. He's now also got past Frankie Bird in the number 3 Mercedes AMG, so he's up to two other places now. But I tell you who else is on a bit of a charge moment, we're setting some very quick sector times. We're waiting for sectors 7 to come in for my time on screen. But that's Lucas Stoltz in 14th position, number 4 Mercedes Team HRT. That car is setting in some stonking times. When we look at the sector times in sector 5, looking at 5s, 10s, 11s, 12s, he's done a 2:04 and 9.
Yeah, Nico Mental ahead of him, 2:10, so that's part of 5 seconds more like 5.2, I reckon. But Stoltz has gained on Mental. That's got to be tyres as well, you have to think, because the track's not staying as it was for the opening lap and indeed the second lap either. It's constantly evolving and all of these drivers are having to adapt accordingly. And notice Hubert Haupt on a charge as well in the Team Advan by HRT Mercedes, who just got ahead of Dennis Olsen as well. So Dan Harper's now in front of the Norwegian and Hubert Haupt has followed suit, so that'll make Haupt now 8th and Olsen slipping back to 9th place in car number 5. Kevin Estra continuing to lead. They've just completed another lap, so 3 in the book, and it's the Porsche in the Grello livery from Mantar EMA that leads by less than a second over Augusto Farfus in his BMW number 99 from Rover Racing. It's going to be a long wait though before we see Frank Stippler, and unusual in that respect. Now I know that one of the Audis, the 15 car, has had a drama, and thank you to Peter Mackay for this. It was a screw in the tyre for car 15, which has meant that car has had to pit for another set of Michelin tyres. The 16 car though, the sister at Shera Sport, still going pretty well in 3rd place. Just one replacement tyre, in fact, for the 15 Audi, so not a full set. The affected tyre, the other two have plenty of meat on them, as the leaders are right together, boys, coming out of the carousel.
Yeah, this is it. Do these boys know it's a 24-hour race out there?
Oh yes,
at the moment. I mean, you know what? It's nothing more than what we would expect from the likes of Kevin Estra and Augusto Farfus. And that literally is a high-speed game of chess as they pick their way, they pick their next move. Is it going to be a pawn or a rook or a knight that they'll move when they come upon the next back marker? And from what we can see as well, conditions out there on the circuit, it doesn't look like it's getting any better, is it? The track, if anything, looks very, very slippery. As Dan Harper clears another one, Snowy, and this one's the Red Bull team up to Lamborghini.
Yeah.
So he's up into 5th spot already. It's not going to be long, I think. I mean, what's the projection then? How long before we see Harper joining in with the Farfus and Estra party there at the front of the field?
I think he's a little way off yet, despite his progress. You get so far. I think once he gets to P3, he's still got to go past Cubits in the Ficadale Ferrari, and of course Frank Stippler, who knows the place like the back of his hand in the Shera Sport PHX Audi. So I think his progress will slow a little bit there naturally, just because of the immense quality and experience of those in front. But it's stunning to have Dan Harper already.
You mentioned Lucas Stoltz a moment or two ago, Snowy. Well, yeah, he's just driven right past Marco Wittmann's BMW. And the overtake from Dan Harper around the outside of Marco Mappelli into the steel striker. Normally, many years ago, the track used to go just dead straight and up a steep incline of concrete Instead, these days it turns right and delivers you into the apex of the carousel. Mapelli just can't do anything with his Lamborghini. And to the high side, Dan Harper waves him goodbye.
It was that opportunity knocks again that we saw from Farkas, and then reversed back again, didn't we? Later on up again from Astra. There was a back mark on the way. Mapelli just hesitated a little bit, sat behind it. That just gave enough time.